So you identify there's a problem, you've talked to the person about it, you might say you're on a warning, you've got a sanction for that, you've gone through the process, you've got a first written warning. So there's first written, there's a final written, and then there's dismissal. And you really should ladder your way through it. You can jump. If the misdemeanor or the performance is bad enough, you can jump, but it's tough. So a probationary period is a time when you can actually act quicker than that. You're not bound by that process. So it is a little bit easier at the beginning. But yeah, we have structure and policy upon structure and policy, and knowing how to do it and how to flex, and when people have the right to be accompanied and when they don't, and all of that forms a lot of our work.
I've worked with a lot of folks in EMEA, the region, right?
Yeah.
And fortunately, I'm like, okay, there's something happening over in the UK. HR business partner, HR person that's in charge of this huge region, good luck. And now you're making my light bulb go off saying they are doing so much. And the second question I had around that is, where specifically are you going to understand all these different laws that are coming up, that are changing? Are you literally just online looking at legal briefings, or is there a website? What are you doing to know specifically how you should be prepping what's coming down the pipe? Because how do you keep up with it?
So personally, I use the CIPD a lot. So I'm a member, I'm actually a chartered fellow of the CIPD, which is the highest ranking. And I use the CIPD to give me all of the legislative changes and all of that. But in addition to that, we, as you say, there's legal companies who they contact you all the time. They send you an email with all of the updates and things like that. So I will use employment law briefings. There's quite a few of those around at the minute, believe it or not, because of everything that's happening. So, you could spend all week going around different solicitors and attending employment law briefings and having a nice donut and a coffee. There's a lot of that about. So yeah, there's a lot of places, but then also obviously there's the government website as well. So we have a government website which lists all of this. ACAS will jump on board with that as well. So we've got quite a few sources of information.
As weird as it's going to sound, I'm actually going to look into that because I'm just curious and just helping kind of sharpen my pencil. I imagine I could probably use the same way that I found you use AI to summarize, like, what is it, what's going on in the UK. So I'm actually looking at that because that's interesting, because there's so much difference there that it's worth knowing. Okay, I could talk weirdly about compliance a lot, but I'm going to move to the next segment. Let's talk about the power up segment called career moves. Let's talk about skill building. The first question, what do you think is an underrated skill or mindset that's helped you navigate growth, chaos, movement? What do you think?
It's not HR related at all, but it's humor. That I can't lose my sense of humor. And in the midst of the chaos and things going wrong and employees doing things that you really didn't anticipate, I've got to just laugh at it. And I still do it now out of corporate, but I've got a client and who is recently, they are one of the most challenging employees I think I've ever come across. I think he probably takes that takes the title of the most challenging employee that I have.
Are you able to give any details? Because I'm very curious of what the most difficult is, because this is impressive.
I will tell you offline, because there are a few legal processes involved at the minute with this person. Fair. So I can't possibly contribute to that. Yeah, I think in the midst of all of that and supporting the managers around that who are trying to deal with it, and they're tearing their hair out in frustration because they're genuinely trying to do the right thing and it's not landing in the right way. And we've tried so many different ways and it's not landing. And I don't think anything will land in the right way. But having to stand back and say to them, do you know, I didn't see that coming and I've got a level of respect for that move. It's like a game of chess. And yeah, I think being able to laugh about it and, appropriately laugh about it.
Fair.
Is really, for me, that's what gets me through the dark days. And we have them. We all have the dark days.
We definitely do. Yeah, I'm gonna be curious to hear offline about this one because if it's the most difficult, that is impressive by itself. It's a gold
Oh yeah,
star.
yeah,
Outside of humor, can you
yeah.
think of a time that, especially in HR, everything's always moving fast? What has helped you stay effective when everything is just moving at lightning speed?
I'm a fan of a good to-do list. I have to say, I like to see things visually. At the minute, I'm a fan of Trello. I like Trello, but I also I use Microsoft To Do as well. I'm swaying between the two of them. Can't quite decide. And for me, it's identifying those big projects, chunking them down, working out what's the priority. There's only so many hours in the day. There's only so much you can do. So if you can't delegate or if you can't switch it up, I'm a big fan of AI too, and I'm starting to use it more and more in my practice. But I think for me, it's having a control of knowing what's needed. For me, things have gone very wrong, or it's been a really bad day if I don't feel that I know what I was supposed to have done, so therefore I'm worried in case I haven't done it, that I need to know what it is. And also having the courtesy for other people to say, I'm really sorry. I know I said I was going to get this to you by 5 p.m. today. It's not going to happen. I can get it to you by 11 tomorrow morning. Would that work for you? Is that okay? There's a lot of other moving parts at the moment. And doing that in advance, like having that level of courtesy.
Yeah. Walk me through your I'm a to-do list. I have a notepad and I have calendar time boxing. I
Yeah.
use AI. I have calendar reminders. I take notes and send myself stuff on Slack. So I'm all over the place. Walk me through your note taking process. Do you have a physical piece of paper? Is it a checkbox? You mentioned Trello. How are you setting up? And I'm really more curious onto, are you at night writing your to-do list for the next morning? How are you managing your priority list in the
So
current?
for note taking, I've actually switched to an AI note taker. So at the minute, I'm using Otter AI, but
Me
I've
too.
also heard. Oh, okay. So, um, do you know you can export that transcript into chat, by the way, and do loads of stuff with it?
I've been doing that for a while. It's amazing. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, it's a game changer, isn't it? So yeah, I'm trying to convince other kind of clients to, I would say more like public sector clients, to allow us to use Otter in interviews, disciplinary or grievance investigation interviews, because it's just so much more accurate and it's so much quicker. So I'm getting somewhere with that as well. So that's really good news. That's a big step forward for us. So yeah, so I have a notebook. I've got a notebook next to me right now. And I use that if I'm in a meeting and there's a particular point that I know that I immediately want to remember. I don't take notes of everything, but I'll make a note of actions or things that really stand out to me. So then what I do at the end of every day is I've got time blocked out at the end of each day and I go through my notebook and I transfer those into a task, whether that's on Trello or To Do. With Trello, I've got lists set up for projects. So for me, I've got obviously various clients. So I've got a list set up for each client, and I've got a card set up for each particular project or piece of work that I'm doing. And I will use the sub lists within that, and I'll date them. I'll make sure that they're all got dates on so that you know what's due on any one day. I do the same thing in To Do, Microsoft To Do. I'm kind of moving towards that. I think I'm getting a bit distracted by the pretty patterns on Trello and all the pictures that I can put on things and the nice colours that I can use. And so I do the same on To Do.